What fact sounds fake at first but is actually real? A Russian luxury SUV manufacturer attempted and failed to use whale penis skin for their SUV interiors. The day Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire was the exact middle of his life, to the day. You can fit about $4 billion worth of plutonium into a shoebox, but not for very long. Cheetahs can't roar. They meow like house cats. Cheetahs can't roar. They meow like house cats. Iran arrested 14 squirrels on suspicion of espionage. The Nazis were the first ever people in modern history to start an anti-smoking and tobacco movement. Or being from Scotland, and finding out the national animal is the unicorn. When compasses were first used on ships, sailors were afraid of them because they thought it had evil powers. Compasses were stored in boxes called a binnacle. There was a week in American history where Tim Allen had the #1 film, TV show, and book. President Coolidge got sent a raccoon for Thanksgiving one year, but instead of eating it, he granted it a pardon because it was cute. Ancient sailors believed that cats were magic and would often risk their own lives, even in an every man for himself situation, to save a cat from a sinking ship. All ships had at least one ship's cat, as cats would eat the rats that have always plagued ships. The ship's cat would often be given a rank, and sailors would generally take excessively good care of their cats. The entire state of Wyoming only has 2 escalators. Chickens are one of many species of birds that don't have penetrative genitalia. Red cocks are cockless. The method of reproduction they use is commonly called a cloacal kiss, and you can think of it as chickens scissoring, because bumping holes is the grossest possible way to phrase chicken sex. Also, chickens are not a flightless species like lots of people think and are generally totally capable of short flight. It is estimated viruses kill about 50% of ocean biomass every 4 days. Netflix was founded before Google. A common ingredient in chemotherapy is horse sperm, of course listed under some long medical term. I used to deliver 100-pound tubes of it to companies that make the drugs. Distance from USA to Russia 4 kilometers. The Ethiopian calendar is 7 years behind the rest of the world. Edit. Yeah guys, it's still 2013 there. Someone should really warn them about this coronavirus so they have 7 years to prepare. Every Canadian is allowed to get a free Canadian flag from the government. However, if you ordered a flag today you would get it in about 110 years. Astronomer here. The coldest place we know of in the universe is actually on Earth. To explain further, the coldest places we know of that naturally occur in the universe are inside dark nebulae with little to no star formation, and thus no starlight to heat things up. The coldest one known so far is the Boomerang Nebula, where the temperature has been measured as low as 1 degree above absolute zero, -272 degrees Celsius or -458 degrees Fahrenheit. However, we regularly get below this temperature in labs on Earth. Specifically, absolute zero is at 273.15 degrees Celsius, or 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit, and labs on Earth regularly get to within a tenth or even a hundredth of a degree of that. Stop signs used to be yellow. In 1922, the American Association of State Highway Officials met to determine a standard design for stop signs, and that's where they decided on the color, yellow, because they thought that would grab drivers' attention. They'd also considered red, but there was no dye available at the time that wouldn't eventually fade. By 1954, sign makers had access to fade-resistant porcelain enamel, and could finally start making stop signs the red color recognized today. You can fit all the planets in our solar system touching end to end between Earth and the Moon. Lyrebirds imitations will seriously sound exactly like the thing they're trying to imitate. If they imitate a chainsaw, you will think it's a chainsaw. It sounds like a perfect recording. The founders of Adidas, Adi Dassler and Puma, Rudolf Dassler, are brothers. And their HQs are literally next door to each other in Germany. There is no date between 03 September 1752 to 13 September 1752. Check out the September calendar of 1752. 11 days are missing in the calendar. This is due to the fact that we converted our calendar from Julian to Georgian calendar on 2nd of September 1752. Dolphins bite the heads off of fish and masturbate into them. The previous owner of the company Segway died from driving a Segway off a cliff. The guy who sang Peanut Butter Jelly Time died in a police shootout. Also, his brother-in-law was there trying to talk him out of shooting himself. You know who that stepbrother was? Snoop Dogg. The sun is so loud, if space was filled with air instead of being a vacuum, we'd be hearing screeching sun noises at 125 decibel at all times. That most of the oxygen on Earth doesn't come from trees. It comes from plankton in the ocean. When you go for a kidney transplant, the old kidney is left inside you. The combined weight of all the ants on the planet is greater than all the humans. If Titanic had had more lifeboats on board, more people would have died. There are lots of unique factors that go into this, but the simple version is there was no time. Titanic's crew acted incredibly quickly as soon as it was known the ship had no chance of surviving. Preparing these massive, heavy lifeboats for launch and lowering them takes a lot of time and effort. Despite their efforts, the last 2 lifeboats were floated off deck. They needed every available second to launch the boats they did have. Titanic had no time to launch more lifeboats. If there had been more boats on board, they would have been stacked, which would have added time to the already laborious and lengthy preparation and launch of the boats. They also would have been stored on deck, which would have added to an already crowded, chaotic scene the night it sank. The yearly risk in the US of dying from a shark bite is around 1 in 250 million, and the yearly risk of dying from a vending machine accident is roughly 1 in 112 million. Therefore, vending machines are about twice as deadly as sharks. When large ships were first sailed through electrical storms, they would sometimes see a blue glow at the top of their mast. There was no lightning and they thought it meant they were cursed. Sprouts, broccoli, green red Savoy Chinese cabbage, cauliflower, kale, kohlrabi and bok choy are not of nature's design. All of them are cultivated by humans from the mustard plant. Humpty Dumpty was never an egg. There is no mention of him being an egg in the rhyme at all. It is believed that Humpty Dumpty was actually a cannon on a wall, which was destroyed. Male giraffes will headbutt a female in the bladder until she urinates, then it takes the pee to help it determine whether or not the female is ovulating. Because the number of possible combination of genes isn't infinite, there are probably at least 7 humans that looks the same as you. There's a type of worker ant that will kill itself by exploding to protect the colony if it feels threatened. They produce a glue-like corrosive substance that can paralyze and kill enemies. I haven't checked since a couple months ago, but at the beginning of the year there was a person alive who was older than the airplane. Not the modern airplane, but the first Wright brothers plane to take flight at all. America kept bombing Japan after the nuclear bombs. My uncle Philip Guy was a pilot who made the last bombing run on Japan. Crazy to think that America was not totally confident that nuclear bombs would do it. You can be so physically fit that you can die as a result. Multiple elite endurance have died in their sleep because their resting heartbeat is so low, 2435 BPM compared to an average 60100 BPM, and their blood is so thick. The condition is particularly prevalent in cyclists, and many have to wear heart rate monitors with alarms to wake them should their heart rate fall too low, at which point they have to perform exercise to get their heart pumping at a sustainable rate once again. Tic Tacs candy advertisers call them sugar-free, but in actuality they're 100% sugar. This is because U.S. federal regulations state that if a single serving contains less than half a gram of sugar, it can call itself sugar-free. A single Tic Tac has less than half a gram of sugar, so manufacturers can legally say it contains zero sugar. It is unhealthy to have low cholesterol in your body. Cholesterol helps to fight disease as well as feeds the brain. It's been proven that older people with a higher cholesterol count are actually more healthy than those who are deficient.